So how did you organize your first 90 days? So you get there, it's kind of, I guess, like you expected, the information's kind of all over the place. How did you build your first 90-day plan? How did you think about that? And maybe what did you want to accomplish in your first 90 days?
What I wanted to accomplish after the first 90 days was my goal was to be able to deliver a roadmap for the next year, a procurement roadmap. So I did actually three things. The first thing is to analyze the spend, analyze not only the spend but also the processes in order to find some optimization and to see how we can be more efficient. So I start what we call a spend cube. I think my peers in procurement will.
Yeah, there's quite a few people that have explained the spend cube on this podcast. All goes back to Eric Bourgeois.
Yeah. So I started a spend cube in order to be able to see how much we are spending, with which supplier, who are the main requester, and actually for which period. So this was actually my first task. Then, of course, I met people, not only top management, but also main requesters, but also key stakeholders such as legal, such as a risk team, for example, and also trying to do the marketing of the procurement function, trying to make them understand the value of procurement, what I can bring to their team. And of course, the third point was to understand the business, the objectives, in order to deliver a roadmap that is aligned with those corporate objectives.
Yeah, makes total sense. And on the business goals, what did you find out? What are the sort of business objectives at Conto that you found?
Basically, as I said earlier, there are two main objectives. Of course, having a 1 million customer by mid 2025. If we go on the operation, the two objectives are to pave the way to profitability and to be more efficient in our processes.
So you basically found a company that's perfect for procurement because that's
Yeah.
exactly what it delivers.
Yeah, actually.
That's awesome. In terms of, if we go back to sort of your first point of basically building your spend cube, what a lot of people are telling us is, you're in a high growth company. There's no existing procurement function. So most likely you've got data kind of all over the place. All of it is with different angles of interpretation that is not procurement. So a lot of accounting data, a lot of, kind of budgeting data for FP&A, but maybe not a proper sort of ready data set to build your spend cube. How did you do this? And sort of give us a sense of how much time it took you to gather a data set that you could trust in order to build your roadmap with?
It's a very good question, actually, but I am lucky there because I had the opportunity to do this exercise in my previous company with a consulting company. So I knew exactly where to go. I knew that the single point of truth for supplier data was the ERP. I knew that the ERP owner was the accounting team. So I went directly to the accounting team asking for extract, basically. It doesn't took me a lot of time.
Yeah.
Actually,
well, and were the extracts kind of like, was the data good straight away, or was there a lot of
no,
back and forth? Yeah.
of course not. I had to enrich it with information in order to be able to show what I mentioned earlier, how much we spend, who are we spending with. So I enriched it with the requesters, the CC owner, the cost center owner, to be clearer. I enriched it with the categories, the commodities hierarchy, or taxonomy, as we call it in the business, in order to show those four aspects of the spend cube. So what are we spending, when, who is spending, and how much.
So basically, you took the raw sort of journal entries from the ERP, from the accounting, and then you kind of enriched it with sort of, I guess, a lot of sort of VLOOKUPs.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, it was very manual. A lot of Google Sheet open in my computer. I was a bit confused at the beginning, but yeah.
And
Then
then
I had a proper database with all information needed to build the spend cube.
so you've got your data set. You kind of it's not perfect because you've got booked data, so you've got accounting data, you don't have engagement data at this point, but that's okay to
Yeah.
make those decisions. And then once you have that, what was sort of the prioritization framework that you did? I mean, we had Kevin and Remy from Schwal and Miracle who told us about the Krajic matrix, kind of see what you need and prioritize who to talk to. What was your approach to using that data set in the real world?
Yeah, that's a very good question as well. To be honest, I didn't directly use the Kraljic matrix. Why? Because it's very time consuming when you have to do it manually. You can decide to do it on like a batch of supplier, like the 100 top supplier. But to be honest, it was not applicable for me for Contospend. So what I decided to do is to use the Pareto methodology, and I realized that it was quite aligned with our spend, and it allows me to identify the top suppliers and to build my roadmap based on those outputs.
For our listeners who don't know the Pareto methodology, do you wanna sort of explain what it means?
Yeah, it's basically to identify what are your main supplier, and basically it's 20% of your supplier covering 80% of your spend.
So it's like they're like the most important
The most important one.
people. So
Yeah.
now you've got your top suppliers. What do you do next?
What I do next is I go back to the business. Even if I got already have input on their relationship with their provider, I try to come up with strategy in order to optimize the cost with the supplier, and I define a detailed roadmap with project that we could implement in order to negotiate with the supplier.